Boy, I got hammered yesterday, and not like back in my wet days when that would have been, hey, let's do a happy hour somewhere. I got hammered on Twitter, absolutely hammered, because I said that the $2 million a year, which is $8 million, essentially has every Tennessee Vol thinking about money, and I'll still stand by that. But people said I'm absolutely crazy. They said compare Tennessee's transfer portal woes to the rest of the SEC. So I did that in a column that will be up in a little bit on offthehooksports.com. But I want to go through some of that, Caleb, and let's tell you where Tennessee stands right now. It's tough to say because they haven't taken anybody in. So in order to get ranked, you have to take somebody in. So On3 ranks, they rank 70 schools, and Tennessee's not on there because they haven't taken anybody in yet. That is a matter of time. Tennessee has 12 players in the transfer portal. So let's talk some transfer portal and where Tennessee compares. Georgia, the two-time defending national champions, they have 15 players in the transfer portal, which speaks to what you just said about the fact that Georgia at some point, unless they're the next Alabama, which is a once-in-a-generation run, unless they're that, at some point attrition has to affect them. And it even affected Alabama from time to time, but for no more than a year or so. It's worth noting that 6 players that are leaving Georgia have committed to lower level schools. That means that Georgia didn't want them, with the exception of quarterback Brock Vandegrift, who is expected to enroll at Kentucky. I'm sure if something happened at the quarterback position, they would love to have Vandegrift back. They'd love to have depth, but let's face it, quarterbacks in the transfer portal are just going to be a common thing. The Gators are definitely the redheaded stepchild, and I can say that because I have red hair and both my parents are remarried. You're not allowed to say that, but I can. So the Gators have had, they've got 16 players in the transfer portal. And what about this? One of them, Trevor Etienne, is a starting tailback on one of their best players. He's going to Georgia. So if you're giving out grades, the Gators are getting a big fat F. Okay, Kentucky is the highest rated SEC school in the 2024 transfer portal at number 2 with 4 incoming transfers, 13 potentially outgoing transfers. Other SEC schools, Ole Miss ranked number 5, South Carolina number 8, Missouri number 9. Those are the only SEC schools in the top 10. So I'll say this in response to those that questioned me on Twitter yesterday. You got a point. You got a point. Now, my point all along was that the Nico contract caused the issues that Tennessee is having. But the issues as compared to other SEC schools ain't that bad. What say you, Caleb Calhoun?
No, I never thought it was that bad either. And this was a very much a par for the course Tennessee's transfers that they have suffered. There's actually, we talked about Florida. You brought up the 16. That's an obvious red flag with who they've got entering the portal. But Georgia, there have been some red flags on people Georgia's losing to the portal too. They lost a couple of top edge rushers and people like that. And I mean, I don't think Kirby Smart is going anywhere, but there have been rumors that he would want to try himself at a higher level. I don't think he does. As far as you know, Dave, I think you and I both agree. His North Star, his ultimate loyalty is Georgia. And Georgia alone, right?
Yeah, he would be Urban Meyer in the NFL. His raw stuff, screaming at, yelling at you, which even Nick Saban doesn't do. That stuff, that wouldn't go over. Not to the extent that Kirby does. That wouldn't go over. That would be an absolute failure. Like with Steve Spurrier, you could make the argument that it's a unique offense and he would be okay. I can't make the argument that Kirby Smart would be a good NFL coach. I think he's there until he's done coaching. But I have more stats that you need to hear about that pertains to Tennessee. Hit the like and subscribe button when it comes to the transfer portal. First brought to you by Apex Apparel Group. Design, brand, market your way. Go to apexapparelgroup.com or call Tyler at 865-919-3001, 865-919-3001. Outfit your fleet, Apex Apparel Group. So who finished last year number 1 in the SEC transfer portal? It was Auburn. How did they do? They went 6-6. Does it mean that you're going to be good or bad if you finish high or low in the portal? Ole Miss finished second in the SEC, and they finished 10-2, and were one of the better teams in the nation. Alabama and Georgia. Alabama finished 13th in the nation. Georgia finished 12th. So in going through these numbers shortly after our 3:45 a.m. meeting this morning, I came to the realization that football hasn't changed as much as we think. A transfer portal can be a little salt on your filet mignon, but ultimately your filet mignon needs to come from the high school ranks. Any disagreement there?
No, but well, disagreement if you're in another conference, maybe. I mean, Washington has fully built their team through the transfer portal, and they're in the college football playoff. But you and I both agree Washington is probably going to lose to Texas, and if they played Michigan or Alabama, they would lose by 75 points, either one of them. I don't think Washington's that good, quite honestly. And which is why, by the way, the college football playoff committee lied when they said 4 best teams. If there was 4 best teams, Washington should have been left out. I don't care that they were undefeated, but that's a different story. If you are building a national title team, you got to go through the recruiting trail and through the high school ranks, particularly when, as we talked about it consistently, you have to develop your offensive line. You just have to. Like, there's just no way around that. You can't rebuild your offensive line through the portal. And I have not seen a team do that yet. Y'all call me when one does. Maybe you could do it with your defensive line. No way you can do it with your offensive line. You just can't.
Somebody will, and it's probably Lane Kiffin. He'll step up to the craps table and he'll get on a heater and he'll hit it. But then the next year they might just win 6 games. So somebody will hit it and everybody will get along and they'll be that good of players and they'll be that good of a fit for a system. But you're not going to have sustained success with a dozen players in the transfer portal. Tennessee isn't the only team facing a pretty drastic roster turnover. Arkansas, Vanderbilt lead the league with 17 players entering the portal. South Carolina and Florida are tied for second with 16 players entering the transfer portal, followed by Georgia and Texas A&M, who each have 15 players in the portal. So here's what I read out of this. Georgia's got a lot of players who are like, dude, I'm not going to play till 2026. I'm cruising. As for the rest of those teams, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, with mega number of prospects in the transfer portal, I think they're all in trouble. Now, long term, I think A&M will be in better shape than it was with Jimbo Fisher. But as for 2024, you got that many people leaving. That's just too much turnover. And I want to underscore this, too, that perhaps I didn't convey yesterday. I think that a lot of Tennessee's guys are shove-offs. And I also think Tyler Barron is just kind of leveraging himself to get as much money as possible. He just wanted to do it through the portal, whereas I think like a guy like Cooper Mays wanted to do it quietly behind the scenes. But I don't think Tennessee, as compared to those schools that I just mentioned, is anywhere close to in dire shape as they are.
No, not at all. And again, you're right. It's only one player is leveraging it publicly, and it is Tyler Barron. And you're going to get a few short-sighted players that are doing that, which, again, advice to young kids, never publicly leverage yourself when it comes to NIL.
Well, and it's illegal in some states as well to publicly leverage yourself.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. Especially within 500 feet of a school, I'm told. All right, so you don't want to ever publicly leverage yourself.
But I do think
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, no, that very true. But Tyler Barron is the only loss that you're going to miss right now if he's gone. And honestly, with James Pierce and Joshua Josephs, I think you can deal with it if it happens.
I cracked myself up there, didn't I? By the way, Jamal Wallace has an offer from Tennessee. Speaking of, well, somewhat of a transfer portal. I mean, it's a junior college issue. 6'4", 269-pound defensive lineman out of Sierra College, calls Tennessee his dream school. That's on offthehooksports.com. He loves the colors. He loves the fan base, he tells Caleb Giroux. And we'll see if he's able to pull the trigger. But his visit is scheduled to be this weekend. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So I think Tennessee picks up a commitment from him, and I'm looking at the MTSU defensive tackle. I think there's a real possibility there. So Tennessee, by the time we're having this question, or we're asking this question in 3 days, Tennessee could be as high as 20 in the transfer portal if they pick up 2 or 3 guys. So if you think I've explained myself better as of what we said yesterday, hit the like button. If you still think I'm an idiot, hit the like button. Be sure and hit the subscribe button. If you think Caleb's beard is coming back, like and subscribe. We appreciate that. Leave us a review and ratings.